So, as you scroll down here, you can see that Lima was scheduled to do a presentation. The person who was answering the emails for the commission was able to find public record Lima's presentation. Hello, everybody. How are you doing on this fine Friday? I am doing really well today. A lot of y'all have brought this to my attention, and let me just go ahead and share the screen with you right now. So, this is the meeting summary for the County of Los Angeles Commission on Alcohol and Other Drugs. As you can see, has a guest register of Michelle Gibson, Anton Moore, and Lima Jevremovic. So, as you scroll down here, you can see that Lima was scheduled to do a presentation. It says she is the CEO of ARA, discuss the following topics. So these are the topics that they put that she discussed. Now, one of the lovely subscribers, you know who you are. I did email this person and say like, hey, I want to shout you out, but she did not email me back. So someone else did do the legwork on this. I'm just reporting it to y'all, and it is a public record. So there are these bullet points. And so the person, she emailed this commission on alcohol and other drugs and said, look, can we get the recording, the meeting minutes? Can we get maybe the presentation she used or whatever? And there does seem to have been a little bit of back and forth with the office over whether or not Lima actually did present on this May 2021 date. Apparently, they weren't able to find that she did present, but they did find that she presented at the meeting in 2022. But anyway, long story short, the commission, or the person who was answering the emails for the commission, was able to find public record Lima's presentation. Now, there is something I do want to address. It has come to my attention that it doesn't seem to be a lot of people, maybe just one faceless, anonymous person running an account on YouTube, that we are somehow doing something wrong or bad or somehow against the law by requesting public records and reporting on them. And I just want to clear up that incorrect notion. Whenever a member of the public requests a public record and the police department or the town hall or the city hall or whoever releases that record to you as a member of the public, there is absolutely no question, no arguing about it, whether or not it is a public record. So the notion that somehow the public shouldn't be able to disseminate public information for the public good is frankly, like, I don't know, like fascism or something. Like, that is not where we live. And I think honestly, like, a lot of people just don't understand how our laws work. A lot of people are just mistaken. If you genuinely believe that members of the public shouldn't discuss and disseminate public records, then you're just wrong. There's no starting point that we can agree upon because you're just mistaken. Furthermore, there seems to be a little bit of confusion, and in my opinion, it's intentional confusion. It's intentional misinformation. There's a little bit of an attempt to start a narrative, which I did anticipate and I've been talking about for a couple weeks, that somehow I'm doing something wrong by showing y'all how to report allegations of criminal activity. And let me be very clear. Dahlia Takali made allegations of criminal activity in the Tulsa police body camera footage. That body camera footage was a public record. In fact, I took steps to further redact from the public, which is an extreme step for me to take. I further redacted from the public Dahlia Takali sitting in that shower. That is a public record. And the reason, I just want to be very clear, the reason that we have public records statutes that allow members of the public to request public records is exactly for cases exactly like this. Because what did the public not know before we started making these requests? A lot. Nobody knew that Dahlia Takali was making allegations of criminal activity against people who were in charge of her. Now, very quickly, the narrative has changed from me saying Dahlia Takali has made allegations of criminal activity to BJ is making allegations of criminal activity. And that's also just incorrect. Dahlia Takali made allegations of criminal activity. They were not taken seriously. They should be investigated by the proper authorities. These hotline numbers exist for a reason. They're not there to look cute. They're not there just to decorate the internet. They're there for us, the members of the public, to use. I will never apologize for reporting someone's allegations of criminal activity. And in particular, I will never apologize for telling other people to report those allegations of criminal activity whenever the appropriate law enforcement did not act appropriately. And the whole reason, this should be in a textbook, because this is the reason why public records requests exist, so that we can see how our institutions are being run and we can hold our public servants accountable. The notion, the idea, the thought that I should feel bad or wrong, or even more deranged, that I should be being accused of criminal activity for reporting allegations of criminal activity, is something wrong with them. Is something wrong with them. And if ever there does, let's just be very clear. If ever there does come a day where calling and reporting someone's allegations of sex trafficking is a crime, lock me up, bitch. Because I'm not ever going to feel bad for it. Somebody needs to investigate these allegations. Look to me like nobody has investigated it. And if that makes anonymous accounts on the internet upset, maybe they are on the wrong side of the law. That's all I'll say about that. Now let's get into this public record and see what we can discover. So this is the presentation, the PowerPoint slides that Lima did present to the Commission on Alcohol and Other Drugs on May 11th, 2022. So a little bit over a year ago. All right, so here is the first slide. It is 42 slides long. I don't know how long this is going to take me to record, but here we go. So the first slide is ARA. Virtual wellness tools created by clinical psychologists. Then it says business to business solution for mental and behavioral health and substance use disorders. Now, we were unable to get the recording or the video transcript or anything like that. The only thing we have is this PowerPoint. Then this is an interesting piece. Again, public record. It looks like this might be Lima and her two sisters, Dahlia and Dia. Obviously, I have no way to know that for sure. I don't know if that actually is Lima. I'm assuming she put this up to try and start talking about growing up. My father was very abusive to my sisters and I. They didn't remember anything and I remembered everything. I assume that's what this is about. I've also heard Lima say before that she was a very angry child and her mom could never figure out what was wrong with her. So I'm assuming that's her slide. She's trying to say, she's angry or whatever. And it's actually very interesting. If you've seen the recent BJ Investigates on Venture Starters, you'll see that this really tracks very closely to Lima's pre-scripted script that she always reads from and changes a few things here and there, including her team having extensive experience in government initiatives and going after government contracts. So the next slide is Dahlia and Dia's story. Misdiagnosis led to addiction. Dahlia and Dia had no memory of their trauma, lived in a safe neighborhood, athletes, educated single mother, which gives us a little bit of a clue. Straight A's in school. Well, that's very interesting because when Lima reported Dahlia missing, in this exact county, LA County, 2021, she was developmentally disabled. Now, I am not a psychologist, psychiatrist, neurodevelopmental specialist, anything like that, but it comes as a surprise to me that Dahlia was announced to the public as being developmentally disabled when she was 30 years old or 29 years old or whatever, running away, but she made straight A's in school. It is possible. I am sure that it is possible, but it's very surprising to me that somebody who can make straight A's would be developmentally disabled. Do you see what I'm saying? Like so developmentally disabled that you need to put it in a bulletin of a missing person, but they can make straight A's in school. Sounds very weird to me, but maybe, who knows? I don't really know. Successful acting career and won awards for their YouTube channel. Another picture of Dahlia and Dia here. Okay, so this slide says, how does it make you feel? Again, I wasn't there in the presentation, but I've heard this pitch so many times that I can imagine it went something like this. My sister started to develop symptoms of mental health problems and they went to the doctor, and instead of having the tools to treat them, the doctors just asked, how does that make you feel? And my sisters, like blind people trying to describe the color blue, could not answer the question, and so for that reason they were given a cocktail of prescription medications, misdiagnosed, and developed addiction to their prescription medication. I assume it went something like that based on this slide. This, whatever this is, yeah, cocktail. This probably when she clicked clicked over. Given a cocktail of medication. Yeah. Oh, yep. Here we go. Misdiagnosed. Yep. Misdiagnosed. Struggle with addiction to their. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Listen, they ought to put me out there doing the aura pitch at this point because I got it down. I got it down. Dahlia and Dia have been stuck in a loop for 4 years. Now, this was 2022. So since 2018, that's very interesting because I've heard her say elsewhere that this all started like 2013 and that they started developing their symptoms of mental health issues or whatever in 2013. So that would be 10 years ago. So it's looking like she can't keep her timeline straight as far as what I can tell. Maybe I'm misremembering though. So been in and out of over 60 treatment centers. In 2018, they developed addiction from a prescription to Suboxone. It's very interesting. In 2018, they developed this addiction, and in 2018 was the same year that Lima and Ivan started the beginnings of Aura. It's very interesting how that lined up like that. Like in the midst of all of this trauma and turmoil, Lima had the bright idea to start her business and actually did it the same exact year that the twins are developing this issue. Dahlia was pronounced dead. Oh, wow. I didn't see this before. Dahlia was pronounced 7 times in from overdose. Okay, well, this honestly, not to be taken Dahlia's word seriously, God forbid I do that, but one of her delusions was that her mother was killing her and resurrecting her, killing her and resurrecting her, killing her and resurrecting her. And as it turns out, there's a public record that says Dahlia has been pronounced dead 7 times. This is from last year. This is just bringing up like a lot of weird pieces to me. Like Lima herself said that Amanda never had seizures before going to treatment.
And so I'm just going to read it word for word of what we got. The cause of death was marked as a seizure disorder. Amanda never had seizures prior to being homeless. If the traumatic brain injury and assaults were well documented, they would have most likely marked it as a homicide.
But Amanda was in treatment under Lima, so it kind of seems like another way of saying Amanda never had seizures before meeting Lima. And then we have Bam himself telling me that he's never had a seizure other than with Lima.
Before I know about Lima, I never had any seizures whatsoever.
So the day you met Lima Jevremovic, had you ever had a seizure before?
Never, but I had another seizure again. I'm like, the only time I have seizures is when I'm around you.
And then we also had Dahlia saying that Linda, Lima's mom, quote, lives to kill me, resurrect me, kill me, resurrect me. And now we got Lima over here saying Dahlia died 7 times, pronounced dead 7 times. Is that true? Dahlia was pronounced dead 7 times? Like a coroner showed up and said she's dead? Somebody who knows more about this process than me, please comment down below. What is the process of being pronounced dead? Is that the same thing as just flatlining and they're trying to bring you back to life or they're trying to Narcan you or whatever? Like this doesn't seem possible. How do you get pronounced dead 7 times? And Dia was pronounced dead 8 times? Is this true? After 3 years, the twins were both, quote, properly diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder. Now, this is very, very interesting. This is 2022. 2022, May 11, 2022 is when this presentation was given. And after 3 years, so since 2018, when Lima started thinking about starting Aura, last star was in full effect already, they were properly diagnosed. This is last year in May, properly diagnosed with DID. In these investment pitches at the end of the year last year, Lima said that the twins actually had CPTSD.
Thank you for having me. All right, well, growing up, my father was very abusive to my sisters and I. I remembered everything, and that's why I wanted to go into mental health. But my sisters, identical twins, successful actresses, and YouTube stars, had no memory of the trauma. They had what's called complex PTSD. Growing up, my father was very abusive to my sisters and I. I remembered everything, and that's what made me get into mental health. But my sisters, who were identical twins, very successful actresses and YouTube stars, had no memory of the trauma. They had what's called complex PTSD. 9 years ago, they began experiencing symptoms of severe mental illness.
She don't even talk about dissociative identity in those pitches. She don't talk about dissociative identity disorder in those pitches. So what is it? Is it schizophrenia? Is it dissociative identity disorder? Properly diagnosed as dissociative identity disorder? Or is it CPTSD? Is it some combination of all of them? But it is interesting that she uses this DID thing sometimes and not other times. DID can't be treated with medication. Opioids now unalive more Americans than guns or breast cancer. I don't know if that's true or not. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, I did want y'all to look at this. She has all these pictures of these folks, and I want y'all to take a good look at all these and tell me if you recognize any of these folks, why it is you think Lima would have included their photos on her presentation. Is it people she's helped? Is it people who have passed? Is it people who have struggled? I don't know why. I don't know why she would have included these folks' pictures on her slide to the commission. Not really sure. Problem. Today's treatment facilities are not working. I want y'all to remember that one. A 600% increase in admissions to treatment facilities since the opioid epidemic erupted, which when did that erupt? I mean, I definitely agree with her that there is some type of opioid epidemic going on, but like since the opioid epidemic erupted, like I would need to know what year that is to see if it might also be attributable to perhaps something else besides just the opioid epidemic. Like maybe perhaps the Affordable Care Act started forcing insurance companies to pay for 30 days of treatment whenever before insurance companies didn't have to do that or something like that. I would really need to see other variables that perhaps had contributed to this increase in admissions. Translates to a shortage of psychiatric beds nationwide. Patients are released prematurely and waitlisted for readmission. Well, this sounds like somebody who works at a treatment center trying to promote giving more money to treatment centers or something. But at the same time, it's very conflicting because this says treatment facilities aren't working. Because look, the problem isn't like this is illogical. This doesn't logically support itself. If the problem is that treatment facilities aren't working, you need to tell me why they're not working. What you're telling me is the problem isn't that they're not working. What you're trying to tell me with this argument here, you're not talking about whether or not they're working at all here. What you're saying is there's no room. So it doesn't have to do with not working. If they're not working, then it doesn't really matter that there's a shortage. Logically, I'm speaking logically. If you don't know how to understand logic, then this isn't the place for you. I don't know how you even managed to make it here this long, but this is the conclusion. Today's treatment facilities are not working. And this is the argument. Y'all studying for the LSAT. This is a good LSAT practice. The argument, the support for this conclusion isn't there. A 600% increase in admissions to treatment facilities since the opioid epidemic erupted translates to a shortage of beds. Well, if they're not working, who cares if there's a shortage of beds? Well, what do those two things have in the hell to do with each other? You see what I mean? Is this too logical? Y'all understand what I'm saying? I'm sure you do. Y'all are smart. Today's treatment facilities are not working. There's a huge shortage of beds. That's sort of like saying, y'all, Drano doesn't work. If you pour Drano down the drain, it don't work. And the reason it don't work is because there's not enough Drano. There's a huge Drano shortage. Well, that doesn't mean the Drano doesn't work. That means we need more Drano. Because if we needed more of it, it must mean it works. Do y'all see what I'm saying? Sometimes I get caught in these logical loops and I just can't escape it. All right, what else does she say here? There is a 90% relapse rate. Well, that absolutely does support your conclusion that today's treatment centers are not working. If there's a 90% relapse rate, I would agree with you. It's not working. We agree. Me and Lima agreeing on something. Y'all write it down. No, I agree with some of the stuff she said. If there's a 90% relapse rate, I agree with you. It's not working. Insurance covers 35 to 45 days in residential or live-in treatment, and then patients are sent home without door-to-door access to continued care. See, this is very cute that she tries to frame this as if it is about access to continued care, because ARA depends on step one, conservatorship or jail.
How can you compel people to go? Because I do think that
You
the
have
people
to
who
force it. It has to be a choice of the state. You have to.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You have to. If I can't get somebody to come in and have a meal in a homeless shelter, not commit to being clean, not commit to anything, just walk in, eat, and you can leave. Just have a meal. I can't even get that, and I can see them outside the windows just laying on the streets, and they're so skinny. You have to be able to say, you hurting yourself is you hurting a person. So you are not allowed to hurt a person in this country. And because you're making these poor decisions and because you're physically incapable of making, because it's a proven fact that the brain of someone abusing drugs cannot function in these ways until you get clean enough to be able to say, oh, okay, I get it now. Thank
So-
you.
Access kind of implies something voluntary. And again, if it were truly voluntary, I would side with Lima and say, yeah, I guess so. Like, I guess it would be nice if people really wanted to go to door-to-door treatment, and it would be kind of nice if their insurance did pay for it, I guess. But this access isn't force.
I do think that
You
the
have to
people who
force it. It has to be a choice of the state.
You see what I'm saying? You see a little subtle wordplay difference there? Then she says many relapse via lethal overdose while waiting. Waiting for what? I think that means waiting for a bed. But again, these are two issues she's talking about here. One issue is it's not working. And the arguments to support that are there's a relapse rate that's very high and many relapse while waiting. Maybe that's another issue, another reason why it's not working. And that kind of is connected to a bed shortage. But these are different supporting arguments unless she were to change her entire conclusion to something more like the way that we treat addiction isn't working, because this is a whole systemic issue. This isn't just, oh, the treatment facilities aren't working because there's a 90% relapse rate. Okay, anyway, I feel like I spent long enough on this slide. All right, what else is the problem? She says resources are fragmented. The Department of Mental Health Outreach Services, Access Center. So I guess why she got homeless outreach programs in bold. That's interesting. So this right here, Laura's Law, that I believe is what she used to get Amanda into the court-ordered treatment and then transferred her across state lines into Desert Hope, and then Amanda Rabb died, and then Lima didn't tell the truth about how Amanda Rabb died, and then she never really came out and cleared up why she didn't tell the truth. I think they used the Laura's Law for that in the assisted outpatient treatment program. So resources are fragmented, and I guess Lima's solution is supposed to be let's put them all together and track patient data across all of the resources. Yeah, man, I should just do this presentation myself. Lack of data, she said, the problem, lack of data shared between programs, services, and hospital makes it near impossible to help clients. And it's like, whoa, what you're disguising as help is imprisonment and incarceration without a jury, without a trial, without equal protection.
how can you compel people to go? Because I do think that
You
the
have to
people who
force it. It has to be a choice of the state.
There are absolutely times where you should help your family member when they are truly in crisis. What that help should not look like, though, in my opinion, is prolonged incarceration without due process and without equal protection. So if somebody is so ill and so messed up and so delusional that they truly do need a family member or a loved one or someone to step in and help them, then it should be very, very obvious to a whole jury of people that that person needs that. And if it's some emergency type of situation, then there should be a panel of judges. I'm not just one either. I'm talking about like 3. And there should all be under the review of a voluntary, non-paid citizens review board. It should be all on camera. It should be all filmed. If it's serious enough, someone's breakdown, someone's paranoia, someone's delusion, to take away their inalienable rights, then it's serious enough to get a whole lot of people involved. That's my opinion. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Studies indicate that people use medical services 90% less frequently after receiving appropriate mental health care. This is so interesting to me because, again, this type of statements is like right in my wheelhouse. I don't know if y'all knew this, but I spent 2 years studying for the LSAT, the law school admission test. I think I scored in the 96th or 97th percentile on that test. Like I scored in the top like 3 or 4% of everyone who took the test. And that did not come naturally to me. I quite literally like took a page out of Lima's book and rewired my brain to think like this test. It's such a logical test. It's a logic test. It really is a logic test. It's very, 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 very hard to do well on it. But I wanted to go to a good school and I wanted to try and get scholarships and stuff. So this type of problem is exactly the type of thing you would see on the LSAT or on studying for the LSAT, and they would be like, what are the logical fallacies in this statement? Okay, so studies indicate that people use medical services 90% less frequently after receiving appropriate mental health care. Well, I don't know where that study came from. I don't know what it is. I would have to read it and all that. But one thing does come to mind. Let's read the footnote real quick. The importance of mental health services, Physician 1, Urgent Care, February 2020. So what this slide is trying to say, to me, it seems, is once people do receive, quote, appropriate mental health services or mental health care, then they're less likely to use the other medical services. And that is supposed to be showing me the importance of the mental health services. But the only thing that really comes to my mind when I think this is it possible that the people are using less services because they didn't receive appropriate mental health care? While it is possible, I want to leave open the logical possibility that this is completely true as presented. It's important to get mental health care services, because once you get appropriate mental health care services, you're going to use the system less, and it's going to take away a burden on the system. It's going to decrease the amount that the insurance is paying and all that. Okay, that is possible. But it looks to me from just a cursory view here that I don't know what appropriate mental health care is. And what I do know for sure is what y'all have told me about your experiences all over the country, all over actually the world. Some of y'all, shout out UK, shout out Australia, who have said, no, I've been to doctors and they don't know how to act. Or I've been to mental health professionals and I'll never go back. Like I started praying the Bhagavad Gita or whatever because these people don't know how to act. So when I see this, it's not so easy. It's not so cut and dry to me as to just say, oh, yeah, I'm going to take this at face value. What I would like to do is to dive into this study, look at who performed it, look at who conducted it, look at how they are defining appropriate mental health care. Because to hear some of these guardianship advocates say it, appropriate mental health care is taking away your rights.
I think that the
You have
people
to
who
force it. It has to be a choice of the state.
And I would just disagree. Okay, I don't know what this is. I'm sure she's saying we're throwing money in the trash can and wasting money. Some facility. If y'all have been here, if this looks familiar to you, let me know. I don't know what this feet push is, but okay. Then we're gonna have a few slides of a stock character wrestling with money. This must be like trying really hard to wrestle money away from insurance companies. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I don't know what these floppy disks are about. We taken Ben Franklin's his heartbeat, I guess, with the stethoscope. Our promise, what's their promise? Changing the mental health care industry with data. Clinics make more money. Okay, again, y'all please go watch my BJ Investigates on Venture Starters. Just put it out. If I remember, I'll link it below. If not, someone link it below. Our promise, clinics make more money. Our promise, clinics make more money. Hold on, girl. Didn't you just say treatment facilities are not working up here on slide 12? You just said treatment facilities are not working. You told me there was a 90% relapse rate. You told me people die just waiting to get into the door of the place. You told me that there's a 600% increase in admissions. There's not even enough beds for the folks who need the beds right now, meaning business is booming for these treatment facilities. And then you're telling me in the same presentation, you promise that clinics will make more money and insurance companies are going to save money. And then at the very last thing, oh, patients actually get better. What do you mean? You just told me the treatment facilities do not work. You said there was a huge relapse rate. And now you're telling me you want to help them make more money? What do you mean? You just told me that treatment facilities today do not work. You said there was a 90% relapse rate. You said there was a shortage of beds. There's people that are dying waiting to get into the door. Business is booming for these treatment facilities. And now you're saying, oh yeah, let's make them more money. What? This I agree with. I do agree with this. Aura is data-driven healing. Is it telehealth for mental health? Data-driven healing? What is it? Her solution, bridging the treatment gap with technology. Aura is a comprehensive system, allows doctors to see how the patient is feeling and track recovery progress. Precision treatment. Biofeedback, voice analysis, and virtual reality allow for enhanced data-rich treatment options. And progress tracking. Our mobile app allows for virtual care through biofeedback, voice analysis, and VR while connecting patients and clinicians through telehealth. Again, y'all, I just want to be clear. Aura itself might work. Aura itself, like the actual treatment platform, it might somewhat work. I really don't know because I don't know exactly what it is. What I do know is she said, step one, conservatorship or jail. And that's really where my antenna started tingling. Look, more money, looking for a handout is what this emoji looks like to me. Oh God, then she's going to get into her, like a speedometer, trying to track how fast each patient is progressing or regressing.
I think the best way to really say what I do is that imagine if cars came without speedometers and that you had to guess how fast you were going, and the statistic was that 90% of cars don't make it to their destination. And so that's how the treatment centers are right now. So without measurement, how do you know you're getting better? How many treatment centers has Amanda been to?
Aura's proprietary system allows insurance companies to have full transparency and metrics to measure clinical performance. Data-driven healing, treating mental illness like physical illness. Aura uses evidence-based. Hopefully Rabbit watches this video. I know it's a long one, but hopefully she watches it. If not, maybe one of y'all could point her to exactly this part of the video. I remember her saying the other day something that's different between evidence-based and evidence-supported. Whoa, what was it she was saying? Evidence? I don't remember. Maybe it wasn't evidence-based. Let me know if y'all remember Rabbit talking about this the other day. She was like, it's not the same thing. And I think she said evidence-based and something else. But Aura uses evidence-based screening instruments to generate data streams to track progress and predict relapse. medication check, mood analysis, sleep analysis, voice analysis, stress analysis, appointment over. This is really interesting. Let me pull up Amanda Rabb's death report. And I remember her being left for a really long time. And Lima, to hear Lima say it, she said, the treatment center thought Amanda was just peacefully sleeping in her bed, but turns out she was actually dead. Let me see. Hold on. Okay, so here is the death report. This is like the police report. And look, as you can see at the top, public. Look, see this? See this right here? Public report. I'm sorry, we do not live in a fascist regime where the public can't talk about public documents, at least not yet. I mean, let these people be in charge and who knows? So let me go to her autopsy. So what is 23:55 hours? I think is 11:55. Okay, yes, this is what I wanted to pull up. So Amanda Rabb passed away on May 9th, 2021. And as you can see from her autopsy results, she was last seen alive by the treatment center staff on May 8th. 2021 at 11:55 p.m. and administered her nightly medications. Okay, so they gave her meds like basically midnight, and then it wasn't until 9:30 a.m., 9 to 10 hours later, that they found Amanda. Okay, so just keep this in mind. Amanda was last seen alive May 8th, 11:55 at night. So right before midnight, the night before she died. They gave her meds. The next day, she was found prone on her bed, unresponsive at 9:30 a.m. So it's difficult for me to reconcile what I'm reading on the autopsy results with what ARA is being advertised to be able to do. ARA uses evidence-based screening instruments to track progress and predict relapse. Well, medication check, very weird to me because Lima apparently did not know that Amanda had all these drugs in her system at the time she died. She relied on the treatment staff to say it or something or the other. She talking about they only had Tylenol in her system. Meanwhile, she had all kind of stuff in her system and also no Tylenol. Sleep analysis is also kind of interesting because I mean, the girl was left 9 to 10 hours or whatever. Nobody even looked at her or saw her. If they were analyzing her sleep while she was sleeping, wouldn't they have known that she passed away? And look, I know some of y'all are going to say, well, maybe she wasn't using ARA on the very day that she died. And it's like, okay, well then why are you advertising it as if it's going to do all this stuff and prevent relapse and prevent all this stuff whenever like the treatment center that you had this girl in that you specifically hand selected to transfer her to apparently did not check on her for 9 hours. And I say apparently, I mean, maybe they did, but it didn't say like, oh, the last time she was seen alive was 30 minutes before. That ain't what they said. They didn't say the last time Amanda was seen alive was during bed checks at 2:30 a.m. and she was breathing in her. No, they said the last time she was seen alive was 11:55 p.m. So then it starts raising questions about Desert Hope. And was this a possibility of negligence on their part? I would never make such an allegation. I have no idea. But this is what I'm talking about. The fact that we have these two public records to compare to each other. Thank God. Because now we can say, hello, authorities. Something's going on here. How would they have known if we weren't looking into the public record, if everything was just a hush hush secret? This is how it's supposed to be. When we're looking at two public records and saying, let's see what this person has said in the public record. Let's just look. Something is going on. Do I know what's going on? No, I don't. I really don't. I mean, I have some ideas, I have some speculations, but I don't. All I know is it's just not adding up. It's just not adding up. Let's see what else she said in this presentation. Mental health care to a new level of precision. Accessibility to high-quality mental health care made scalable with ARA's mobile telehealth app for virtual care. Collects data to create patient reports which determine a patient's risk level for relapse, which this is weird. Risk level for relapse, yeah, that's interesting. But what good is determining a patient's risk level for relapse unless you're also planning to make a move based on it? Like, what exactly is the purpose of determining the risk level for relapse? Like, really think about it. Why would someone who makes virtual reality for treatment centers and who wants to help treatment centers make more money, hello, do you see the pieces adding up together? Why would they want to predict relapse? Well, let's read further. They want to intervene before it's too late. But what could this mean?
I think that the
You have to
people who
force it. It has to be a choice of the state.
What could this mean? To intervene before it's too late, we can determine a patient's risk level for relapse or self-harm and alert clinicians to intervene before it's too late. Well, if that's a clinician just calling you or texting you, that actually seems pretty cool. But what is step one? The website. Conservatorship or jail. So it's kind of starting to look like, and I have found patents for this. They're not related to ARA, but I do plan on going over those patents with y'all soon. I have seen technology that supposedly predicts relapse and predicts self-harm. And then the intervention that is being proposed is a forced incarceration, which in my opinion flies straight in the face of the United States Constitution, where you are innocent until proven guilty and you cannot be punished for something you have not yet done. And if this intervention that's being advertised, this intervention that's being hinted at is a Stephen B. Timmer showing up, putting you in the back of a van or putting you in the back of a cruiser and driving you to the treatment center where Stephen B. Timmer works at, and Stephen B. Timmer is unlocking the door and letting you in. And then the purpose of ARA promise is to help treatment centers make more money. Do you see how this is starting to look a little bit like it might not be in the patient's best interest, but like there might possibly be some other considerations? Possibly. It's possible. These are vulnerable people we talking about. Designed for patients with mental illness. Okay, fine, whatever. Stock photos. Find your quote safe zone. I don't know why they put the single quotes here and the double quotes here. As in dreams, virtual reality is a safe space for us to engage in problem solving that we would normally be reluctant to attempt out there. Clinical psychology professor, whatever. Okay. This is interesting. Proven to rewire the brain. I just want to remind y'all that this is Lima's words. When I'm talking about rewiring the brain, that's not something that I made up out of nowhere. That's coming from Lima. And this is not the only place she said this. Proven to rewire the brain. Users revert to positive coping skills. Patients teleport to new realities and experience an interactive way to improve mental health through immersive environments and gamified therapies with access to ARA. To guide, customize, and personalize experiences. Proven to rewire the brain? Maybe. But I'm looking at the people who we know publicly who have used ARA, and that is Amanda Rabb, Bam Margera, Dahlia Takali. And Dia, but I don't know where that girl is. Very interesting to me. That doesn't seem like it's proven to do much more. Doesn't seem like it's proven to help them. Doesn't seem like it's proven to do much more than rewire the brain. But I still don't even I don't even know how it has rewired like a proven how. Uses proven to rewire the brain. Where's the study? Where's the, what do you mean proven? What are you talking about? I want to see proof of this proven, because proven and proof have the same root word. Where's the proof that the brain was rewired? Because the only thing I see is Dahlia Takali, who doesn't seem to be in a great mental space, accusing people of sex trafficking. We have Amanda Rabb, who died, and it's unclear why nobody told the truth about how she died until I came along. And you have Bam, who said that he didn't even understand what the ARA was. So I would like to see the proof, because I haven't seen it yet, but maybe it's there. Let's see it. Problem. Another problem. We have another problem. She already had a problem slide, but here's another one. Masking the issue through self-destruction. Many individuals default to negative coping mechanisms to deal with stress, trauma, PTSD. Excess drinking, self-harm, smoking, caffeine consumption, emotional eating or restrictive eating, high-risk behavior, dangerous S-word behavior, avoidance behavior, extreme anger, violence, or compulsive spending. Then she got this guy on top of a building. I don't know if that was supposed to be VR. I don't know what this is. Keep this tarantula in mind, because I found something the other day that was alarming and interesting, but I don't have time for it in this video today. Over 285 clinical studies published to date show VR as a promising strategy for rehabilitation. Okay, this can't be the proof she's talking about. Virtual reality therapy applications and studies involving treating phobias and anxiety disorders, including PTSD, treating addiction to drugs, cocaine and heroin, as well as nicotine addiction, alcohol dependence. Treatments for these conditions using VR have proven quite effective, and she doesn't cite a single one of these 285 studies, interestingly. And here is, I guess she's talking about, and again, I hope Rabbit watches this. What is a use case? Is that like a case study? Is that like a thing that you're trying to prove efficacy? Or is a use case something where it shows proof? What is use case as a term of art? VR co-developed by the doctors using it. Our VR experience include, get your subjects and your verbs together, girl. Get them in agreement. The VR includes exposure therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, distraction therapy. Oh, girl, just get on TikTok and start scrolling. And mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, trauma, depression, anxiety. These are all the things she says that she could use it for, I guess. PTSD, depression, anxiety, substance abuse, eating disorder, bipolar, phobia, irritability, detachment, and behavior therapy. Again, I see no studies cited here or no examples here other than a stock photo. And then this is real interesting. The medically assisted expansion to avert opioids. Medically assisted treatment expansion to avert opioids. Drug medical recovery support through VR. ARA offers medication assistant treatment recovery support through VR for increased accessibility to continued care and to abate the opioid epidemic using VR as a effective bridge to long-term community-based recovery services following retention, aka held against your will, in treatment and intensive case management. So this is a fancy way to say we want to use VR to bridge long-term recovery services. Do y'all remember when she went on Meet Kevin talking about internment camps, but she didn't call them that? It was like if you're homeless or if you have a mental disorder and you don't have somewhere to live, like you definitely have to go to either a treatment facility or a homeless encampment and stay there and you cannot leave. And the only way you can leave is if you're bussed off and you're bussed back on. And she called it a gated community. Like, so was Auschwitz by that definition. A gated community because you're homeless. Okay. All right, girl. One that you can't leave. Oh, okay. Got it. So it looks like it's saying VR could be used in those places, community-based recovery services, following being held against your will in treatment. It's crucial that the patients in care induct medically assisted treatment to avert relapse. But she just told us up there, her sister's big problem is they were given a cocktail of medications to treat their disorders and they became addicted to those medicines. So I don't really have a dog in the fight as far as what I think about MAT or don't. A lot of y'all have told me that you've had good experiences. A lot of y'all told me that it hasn't been good. I don't really know. I'm sure it's like anything else where it can work and it can be destructive, but it's logically inconsistent to say that her sister's biggest problem is the cocktail of drugs and medications they were put on to treat their mental illness. And now she's saying, well, we got to put the people on those cocktails and medications also on VR. I don't know. Maybe she'll come on the channel and give this presentation. We can ask some questions. All right. Market is ready for use. $281 billion industry. Aura is the world's leading medical virtual reality network. You see that? Aura is the world's leading medical virtual reality network with access to sell monthly subscriptions to over 600 treatment facilities and growing. Remember, this a year ago, this May last year and 3 months ago. And distribution of internationally acclaimed content from countries like the Netherlands and Israel and connecting international companies to the US market. What? I feel like this needs a whole video. I didn't see this before it started recording. First mover advantage. What the f is this? Aura is the world's leading medical VR network with access to sell monthly subscriptions to over 600 treatment facilities and growing, and distribution of internationally acclaimed content. I'm assuming this is like VR content from countries like the Netherlands and Israel, and connecting international companies to the US market. Who's she connecting to the US market? Is it Nenad Matosevic? I need somebody to look into this. What in the hell is this? Aura is the world's leading medical VR? Oh, their promise again. Make clinics more money. Great. Wonderful. Never too late to become what you want. Contact us. And that's it. That's the end of it. Well, this video has already taken quite a bit longer than I originally anticipated. I'm going to try and get this edited, and I will see y'all again very soon. In the meantime, public records are public, and facts ain't defamation. Love you, mean it, K, bye.